Hello, it's Phil Harvey here at the Big 5G event in Austin, Texas, and joining me is Dennis Hoffman from Dell. Hi Dennis, how are you?
Hey Phil, good to see you.
Thanks for making some time for us. It's going to be a busy event, and we're on the first day of the event, but I wanted to catch up and sort of get an idea of where Dell is. First of all, I guess in the 5G ecosystem broadly, so you guys supply infrastructure to everyone for nearly everything, but what specifically is your opportunity in 5G?
Yeah, thanks. Well, you know, the opportunity's got a lot of layers because of where we are in the stack.
Right.
You know, so in fact, one of the reasons I'm here is we're hosting a partner event with 24 industry players at our Round Rock Open Telecom Ecosystem Lab today.
Oh, okay.
So where we sit in the ecosystem, as you pointed out, clearly we sell infrastructure that's kind of the foundation of where most of the stuff runs. But we kind of work down from there and up from there. By down from there into the silicon ecosystem, making certain that we're looking at all the different options as well as working on hardware accelerators, which we've launched in the past.
Right.
And up from there, the next layer of the cloud, if you will, from VMware to Wind River to Red Hat to Microsoft Azure, that next layer, integrating that with the infrastructure and selling it all as a system. Try to make it easier for the operators to consume this newer open cloud layer.
Yeah.
And then really all the way up into partnerships on RAN, especially focused today on private 5G, but also working with all of the incumbent network equipment providers on their open virtualized software stacks.
Okay. Yeah. In the similarities between what Dell's doing in the cloud and what it's doing in the open networking ecosystem for cellular operators, 5G operators, it is kind of similar because what you're kind of giving them peace of mind that they don't have to go out and pick all these individual parts and make them all work together, which was kind of the something that I think was maybe a stumbling block for open networks in the past.
Yeah, exactly. In fact, I'd say it's strategically, we would look at it as an adjacency. It's really close to our core business because carriers are digitally transforming.
Right.
They are adopting cloud technology to improve their business in some way or other. So for us, it's very close to home in terms of what we have done in IT, and I think some stuff we know how to do.
Do you see a specific opportunity on the open networks on the RAN side? So I know Open RAN is one thing, that's a specific thing, but all of the components of the RAN are various companies are pushing for them to be open. What does Dell see? Because you're kind of competing against a different breed of infrastructure provider there. What's your opportunity there?
Yeah, you sort of pointed it out earlier. I think one of the big stumbling blocks has been, I want open, how do I consume it? Because I'm used to consuming network equipment in a certain way.
Right.
Namely, with a very strong relationship with a very strong vendor. So our opportunity is first doing pieces of the infrastructure, but secondly being one of the people that help put that together in a way that makes open networks consumable.
In the partner event that's happening, what goes on in that sort of thing? Is it mostly about trying to make sure everyone's on the same page as far as what you're building to and what new technologies are there?
I would say yeah, at one level. The focus this week is we've decided that one of the big stumbling blocks isn't only consuming open infrastructure, it's being able to answer the question, when will open be lower cost? When will open be higher performance than the legacy technologies? And so we're together with all of our partners to really set a plan of action to solve that, to answer that question, to really kind of lay it out, the entire open stack with lots of different parts from lots of different people, compare it to a conventional system, and identify specifically where we have cost reduction opportunities, where we have performance improvement opportunities, and then kind of talk about how we as an ecosystem have to aggressively advance that.
Yeah, how does it sit at the moment in terms of the cost, the price performance sort of argument? An open network or an open RAN in 5G versus something you would buy from a single supplier or one or two big suppliers?
On the RAN, well, on the network core side, it's the answer has been in for a while. It's better to disaggregate and virtualize.
Sure.
On the RAN side, I would say it kind of depends whether you're brownfield or
okay.
greenfield.
Okay.
Whether, and obviously most of the carriers in the world and operators are brownfield, but they're choosing greenfield areas in some cases. And then certainly here in the U.S., Dish is greenfield.
Yeah.
If you're greenfield, there's no question what to do. You do not
Right.
want to be building tomorrow's network on yesterday's approach. But if you're brownfield, it depends. And I would say we're still at a point where an unaltered x86 server running an open RAN stack, it's hard to prove that it's lower price performance. I would say, however, that the conundrum here is that generally in any of these architectures, the total cost of ownership typically has got like $9 of operating expense to $1 of capital.
Okay.
So we seem very myopically focused on the cost of the box.
The initial buy-in.
Right.
Yeah, right.
But the problem with that, of course, is that operators need to change their operating methodologies to capture the TCO benefit.
Yeah.
And so two things have to happen. We got to get the capital to the point where it's like, okay, that makes sense.
Right.
And then start working, as we have with banks and insurance companies and everybody else for years. How do you change your operations to really take advantage of cloud?
Okay, and the last question is sort of on the private 5G market. You noted that was an immediate opportunity.
Yeah.
What kind of activity are you seeing there? Are you selling, and I would only ask this question to Dell because you have such a broad portfolio, but do you find it easier to sell straight into enterprises, or do you work directly with carriers?
Both.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, for us, the initial draw is that we have distribution, and a lot of the end users are asking us directly to help.
Okay.
Because it's kind of just a flow out of IT, right? It's like
Sure.
the OT people at, I don't know, a mine or a manufacturer ask for, kind of new edge computing infrastructure with a 5G service attached.
Right.
And they've got a choice. Do I want to go to my favorite network operator? Do I want to go to an equipment vendor like Dell? So we're seeing a split.
Okay.
We go to market both ways.
Interesting. And is that market set to grow now, or is the market sort of catching up to pent-up demand?
I think it's already started to grow pretty rapidly. I don't have the experience of private 4G. I understand it was underwhelming as a market.
Yeah, it was.
Right? And so there's a lot of hangover from that with people saying, why is this different? But as a cloud-native cellular standard, I think it just fits more with the transformation most enterprises have been on. And there are just use cases where it is by far the best solution. You know, a gold mine in Alberta we did with Rogers and Ericsson and Expedo. It's geographically distributed. There's
Right.
no way you're going to cover it with Wi-Fi.
Right.
The number of connections from all of the sensor-enabled trucks and mining equipment and just mine cars is, and security.
And the kind of devices you can't leave unconnected or partially connected.
Yeah, so it's got to be always on.
Yeah,
right. So
makes sense.
there are certain use cases now emerging, and I think proliferating: smart mining, smart manufacturing, an awful lot of smart public sector stuff, right? Smart cities,
right.
A lot of stuff attached to video surveillance,
Okay.
that seem to be taking off. And I'm told by those who've seen both markets, private 4G and 5G, that this one looks a little bit more legit.
Excellent. All right. Well, Dennis, we'll leave you alone and let you get back to your busy day. Thanks so much for being
You're welcome.
here. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Phil. Appreciate it.